the city and killed 70,000 people. It's just a matter that their atoms were disposited over a wide area, so they truly weren't destroyed. It's just that they were spread out over a wide area. We can kind of use the same sort of thing with those buildings. I'm sure if you scour the countryside outside of Hiroshima after the atomic bomb was dropped there, you could end up getting enough particles and atoms if you had the ability to pretty much rebuild Hiroshima from the ground up and try and eventually rebuild it in that form. So I would generally say that while that is the case, at the same time, though, if you hit something with a bomb, you scatter over a wide area, or you just completely stop it from being gathered up into a high purity form, then it pretty much is destroyed for that effort. The issue, however, is that that's not really what we're seeing right now here in Iran. Is that that's not the issue? It wasn't that some of the Iranians survived because it was hit with a bomb, but technically, by the first law of thermodynamics or whatever, it didn't actually destroy the uranium. It was just spread around, but the Iranians went down the back and back up. The reality is that some of it was in Big X Mountain or elsewhere, and it just generally survived not even getting bombed in the first place to be spread out over a wide area or to almost nearly be vaporized, almost in a sense, or create a high level of radioactivity or destroy the facility to the same where you can't access it, or anything along those lines. It's just that some of it literally survived, while some of it ended up being either inaccessible or turned into a fine dust. So that I hope that does address that somewhat well. I do think it was important to have this channel keep on running. Because if it wasn't folks like you, we would be able to make this channel possible. And I see what you're saying, but at the same time, that is not necessarily how that would work per se. But with that, we are on to the next one. All right, so jumping into our second super chat here, this one goes to Howard Mendelson, a Elder Longtime channel legend. He wants an 820 as well. Thank you very much, Howard, for that support. He said he wants to Dave while we still have let's see here. Sadly, Howard, I can't read it all. But basically what Howard's trying to say in theory, or at least in principle, is that he is trying to take this opportunity while he views the United States as being weak to invade Taiwan. He's not going to let this opportunity pass him up, in Howard's opinion. I would have to say that generally, I think that would be the case if America was in charge, to be entirely honest, because like the truth of the matter is that as far as foreign policy goes, everyone has a weak stance these days. There isn't such a thing as a strong stance. It doesn't matter if it was the current president, the last president, or the presidential candidate in the last election that went up against the current president. All of them have a very weak stance in foreign policy, an insanely weak stance in foreign policy. I've literally not seen a difference in any of them. Like some people would insist that the current president is different than the last, but when you actually assess the decisions and actions that are being made, they're literally the same. And as far as that goes, I would have to generally agree on the surface level, not getting political, that the Chinese do want to take advantage of weak kind of leadership in the country that keeps permeating through every administration and every political party. But I wouldn't say that it's specifically endemic to this administration, because the same, like for example, just to be entirely frank, to say that Biden or Kamala or Trump would do anything, they're all doing the same. Like to be entirely honest, it's not even a theoretical thing. Harris's position was the exact same as Biden's, and Biden's is the exact same as Trump's. They're all literally identical. So it would have been a weak foreign policy approach from any of the three, because you can literally look at the last administration's stance in the Middle East, and it was as weak as the current administration's stance in the Middle East. And then considering that the candidate for that party also had the same position and said, we want to take everything that this administration is doing and just carry it on for another 4 years. We already knew that our foreign policy stance was also going to be weak in the Middle East, East Asia, and elsewhere. So as far as the Taiwanese situation, I think we would have been in the same pickle no matter who ended up becoming president out of those three. And we will also be in that same pickle no matter who's becoming president within the next 4 years.
So Josh.
Because it's if you look at just their policies on their base, the last president was very weak on Taiwan.
What's up, Ray Toaster? Yeah, I got a really good kind. I think, anyway. But I'm testing it out on this first because it's a smaller piece of wood. If it doesn't come out right, I could just cut the other one I have in there and redo it. Because the kitchen countertop in the van is secured. So if I were to mess that one up, or I didn't like how this came out. It came out looking dumb. I'd have to rip that entire thing out of there. But it actually looks pretty good. They told me that the paintbrush strokes by themselves, like there's some, you can kind of see where I'm using a paintbrush. Um, they said that they automatically just kind of fizzle themselves out when it starts to dry and settle. But I'm still trying to just get like any kind of excess on here off. But I got a special kind of paintbrush where the hairs are meant for like epoxy, polyurethane, stains. I mean, kind of oil based like this. It's not like a regular paintbrush. Because apparently, I guess there's different types of hairs and different types of paintbrushes. I didn't know that. All I know is I paid like $20 something for this paintbrush, so better work. It's not cheap. And then this little can of polyurethane cost me around $35. I didn't even really need to use that much. I gotta still do the other side of this. I'm doing both sides. But I have to let this sit for 2 days. Because it's going to take at least a couple of days for it to settle. And that's why I'm doing it in here, because it's supposed to rain over the next couple of days. But basically, in 2 days, I'm going to come in here, flip it over, and do this edge over here that I can't get to right now. And flip it over and do the other side. Even though it's the bottom, you're still going to see the bottom of this thing from outside the van where it's going to be positioned. And I'm trying to like seal in the wood on all sides. I'm probably going to use this stuff on the bed too when I finish staining the bed, just in case it ever got wet back there. Not so much for the nice shine, but for to just protect it better. So I think I'll end up getting a lot of moisture in that van over time because of all the activities I'll be doing on a regular basis. Like I'm going to spend a lot of time out by the water and getting wet and fishing, putting things in the van. My dog will probably be wet sometimes getting in the van. And as much as I can anyways, I'm trying to protect so I never get like mold or anything like that. But this actually looks pretty good. That stuff that comes in the can that I tried spraying on this just didn't do shit. I'm sure maybe it like sealed it for moisture. It didn't really give it a good shine. And I don't know, in 2 days, they said to wait 2 days. After you do it, don't move it, just leave it flat. And if I need to add more to this to do another coat, I can do that as well. But part of the other reason why I'm not doing the one in the van yet too is because I'm going to have to start that on Sunday on my day off and let it sit. So I'll have to do it after I finish building the desk on Sunday, so I don't get dust or anything on it. So it'll probably be like the last thing I do Sunday night, and I'll at least let it sit all day on Monday. Hopefully by the time I have to go to work on Tuesday, it'll be dry enough to where, you know, it won't get hurt. I guess I should have done this to it before I put it in there, but it'll be all right. There's not anything in there that can hurt it as long as I'm not actively working when I do it. I really like how this edge came out up here. Like I didn't get this like this. I basically took the skill saw and just nicked the edges and roughed it up. So it looks like just like a piece of lumber. And it really came out nice. It's starting to look even better now that it's got the stuff on it. I actually really like the color. The more I smooth it in and thin it out, the darker the wood's starting to look.
So they always have to take this really weird approach. If you ever look at how the diplomatic situation has ever worked with the Taiwanese, this is what the Chinese do. Hey, how would you like to
They told me not to use a lot the first coat. Wait and see what it looks like, because when they said this stuff settles in a way to where a lot of times, depending on what kind of stain you have on it, you're only supposed to have to do it with one coat. But it also depends on how thick you're trying to get it. In my case, I don't really care if it's super thick. I don't care about this edge as much because that's going into something. I got this giant protective thing down so it doesn't drip on anything. Circular stasis to where nothing really happens. But the issue with that, though, is that we've done that, and we've done that so well that people keep on, and like this is something I got to complain about, folks from Congress. Nobody ever wants to fund the Navy. Nobody wants to. Most of the ships in the Navy are reaching well beyond the retirement age at this point, and there needs to be a massive refit and rebuilding of the Navy, and not only that, a rebuilding of the Navy to a size even larger than it is currently, with a lot more logistical vessels built into it to be able to support our long-range naval expeditions, like into East Asia, that we don't have right now. We just don't have them because there's not enough money being put into the Navy. People have got to stop acting and pretending like the Air Force is the most important branch in the military. It's very important. What is this? One of the brush bristles came off. I was like, what the fuck is that? I thought it was the epoxy doing something weird. No, one of the bristles came off. It's the one. It is the most important branch for that reason, and nobody gives it any funding. Everyone just keeps on throwing money at the Air Force. I'll give you guys a close up.
But sometimes the answer is power projection. That's really one of the biggest answers that we need.
So it's coming out so far. It's the edges.
We can protect the United States while we build an army or we build an Air Force. We can protect the United States from our allies. We can blow from, well, not our allies, our enemies. So whoops, you got all the bushes right there.
Looks pretty good. See some comments. Yeah, shout out Enforcer. I'm listening to him talk right now. Oh yeah, I was talking about doing that down the middle. I think this is a little bit too thin for that though. I will say this, I came across today at Lowe's. It was the first time I actually really looked around Lowe's. I just assumed Lowe's was exactly the same as Home Depot. And for some part it is, but like for example, Lowe's doesn't have that marine sealant that I use. They have like a baby tube of it and that's it. And Home Depot does, but Lowe's has a whole section for countertop. like untreated wood that Home Depot doesn't have. They had like what looked like flattened pieces of log where the edges were still had bark on it. You know what I'm talking about? And then the top was kind of like this, just untreated wood, nice and smooth like a table. Same thing on the bottom. And they had one exactly the length of my kitchen countertop in the van, and it was only $54 for it. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, I was like, that would have looked so much nicer because it had, like the edges were just bark, and it would have looked really nice. But whatever. I mean, the one I have out there now looks nice. I made it look nice, but it would have been cool to have like the roughed up bark edges on all the way around. But it probably would have been a little bit tougher to put a sink in it. But something like that would have been nice to do something down the middle because it was about an inch thick. It was like double the thickness of these. But I wish that I seen it before I found this at Home Depot. Because when I found this at Home Depot, I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is what I need. So, oh well. I wish there was like something else I could use that piece of wood for in the van, but there's no room for it. It's not really any room for it now. So I'm thinking like I'll just let this settle. I'll check on it tomorrow night when I get home from work. And depending on, because it's pretty dry in this room, there's no airflow in here. And it gets hot during the daytime, so maybe this will dry sooner. But if it still looks like it's wet, I'm just going to let it sit one more night. And then on Saturday night, we'll flip it, do the other side. I'm kind of tempted to also do the wall panels, or at least maybe the roof panels, because I didn't do that. I didn't do anything like this on the ones I already have in the van, and it would be really tough to try and apply this to them now because they're on the wall, and gravity is just going to completely make this strip all the way down. So maybe the ones on the walls I'll just spray with that spray stuff that I used. And then the ceiling, maybe I'll apply these to the ceiling panels, which will give the ceiling a little bit of a gloss. But it really depends on how this turns out. Because this has, remember, I put the walnut stain on it first, and then I accidentally splattered it with the gunstock stain. And then I ended up coating it with gunstock stain on top of walnut. So it's going to look slightly different than the wall panels. It's going to be darker, but I should still get a pretty decent feel for how this turns out. What's up, FCC? Craig Cup Nation, yep, Solo Cup. Oh. For whatever reason, this edge over here just keeps bubbling up. Like, the excess comes along the brim here, and it looks like a thick layer of that stuff. It's like very waxy looking. But every time I try and hit it with the brush, it ends up fucking up the top part of over here. And then when I go to smooth this back out, it ends up giving it like a very waxy. I don't really know what to hit that with. You can try maybe a paper towel. Fold one of these up and then just kind of run it on the edge. I really should have gloves on because it's stuff you don't want to get on your skin at all. And they warned me about that. So very carefully. I get on the edge. That's a lot. but it still keeps like coming back. That's probably this just smoothing itself out. Alright, so I know that's all I'm going to need for this. I can put this back on. That back there. I would bring this back in the house. I think she needs this weekend. I'll lose that. Just needed to pop the lid. Yeah. I guess that will work. I don't really think, because it seemed like the more I kept applying, the more it kept dripping and clumping up on the edges. I think I got as much on there as it's going to let me put on there until it dries. But they told me not to put too much. So use it very sparingly because a little goes a long way with this stuff. I'll let that dry. Hopefully that doesn't clump up on me. I'm afraid to add water to it because I don't know if you can mix it. And next time I use that, I don't want to. So I'll just leave it. So yeah, this is what it looks like when it drips. It's like very waxy looking. Very sticky. There's the edge. There's that top. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good, even around these edges. What's up, Rob? Oh yeah, that's true. I could just sand it if it looks waxy at any point. They did tell me that too. They said if you don't like how it comes out, all you got to do is just sand it all the way back down, and then you can start over. But I really don't feel like doing that because I already have enough that I got to do. And that would be like probably a whole day process. It would probably take me a whole day. And then I actually would have to buy probably something to go on a drill to sand this down, I would think. Something powerful. But I think it'll be fine. It's starting to look like the wood is absorbing it. The whole top looks like it's got a nice gloss to it. At least in some points still, because it's wet. But I guess when it dries, we'll know. If not, we'll do another coat. But they did tell me, they said if this doesn't work, they said do not go buy a different type of epoxy or polyurethane and try and put it on top of what I already did, because they said that's not going to work. They told me that I would have to strip it and sand it all the way down again. But honestly, like probably what I do is I would just go cut the other piece in half or to this measurement and just redo it. That would take and restaining it. Like that would take way less time than stripping this again. I literally have an entire extra piece. I don't know what to do with it. I mean, I was planning on using it maybe for the desk and pieces of it for the desk. But I don't know. What did you guys think about my plants I got today? You guys like the plants? I put the plants in there and It actually doesn't smell like gasoline up front anymore. I just smell, I think it's the oregano one I smell. One of them is really strong. And because the AC in it, when I drive on the highway, blasts, I get like a big whiff of one of them. I think I smell oregano. The pepper plant has absolutely no smell. Basil has a smell, but the sage doesn't really have a smell either. I don't know if you can grow garlic, but I would like to get garlic as well. I'd like to have like the top three herbs that I use to cook with. The garlic, I don't know how garlic really grows. I never looked it up. Never needed to. I just buy it at the store. That's the advice Painter gave me. It's done. Don't fuck with it. Should I buy the airplane? No, not yet. When I move in the van, I'll start saving for stuff like that. Airplane's only $4,000, and you can finance it. I think it was like $114 a month. It came out to. But you'd have to have insurance and. Well, I don't know. I would presume you'd have to have insurance, even though it's not regulated as like a small aircraft. It's what's the word for it? Recreational vehicle, because it's under a certain weight, and you have to like in order to go up. You and whatever you have with you has to be under 254 pounds. Anything over that, you have to have different qualifications. But I'm still looking for one. I want the one with the fixed wing, but I think it'll be easier if I get one with the parachute. And the ones with the parachutes are actually a lot easier to handle. I know it doesn't make much sense, but they handle a lot differently. And they're a lot safer. Like if your engine goes kaput on you, you have a like your glide is a lot longer than with the fixed wing. But either one of them I could tow on the back of a trailer. Just get a Harbor Freight trailer and tow it. But I think while I'm still in upstate New York, I would probably just hangar it at one of the airports. It's like $100 a month to hangar small like planes like that. But I'm still getting a kayak, but it's an inflatable kayak, so I'll be able to store it up on top of my van. And another thing I'm planning on grabbing too off of Amazon, they're only a couple $100, is I want to get myself one of those electrical scooters, the kind that fold. And there's one right now on Amazon. I think it's $283, and it can go up to 22 miles per hour. And it's got over 1,000 watt hours, so it can go for a while on one of those. But that would be cool to have, if I go to different cities and stuff like that, to where it's easier to get around on foot, or in that case with a scooter or a bike. So I was originally going to do an electric bike, but they're too big. Like I don't have the room for it, unless I got a trailer and maybe fit it back there. But the electric scooter I could easily slide under my bed or fit it under there. We'll see. I got tons of cool things I can get once I'm in the van, and basically can pocket about 85% of my paycheck each week and be able to buy stupid shit like that. Cardio. No, I'm talking about getting an ultralight aircraft. Like some of them have a parachute and they got like the seat you sit in and you control it. Well, so the fixed wing one you would control differently than the parachute one, but the it's the best way to describe it is like an airboat how it has a giant fan behind you. That's basically an ultralight. It's just got like a propeller behind you, and you're sitting in front of it, and your vessel has wheels on it, and you could take off like a normal plane, land like a normal plane. You don't really need much clearance and runway to take off or land in those. You're basically in a constant stall, anyways, at those speeds, especially if you're trying to land. But you don't have to have a pilot's license for it. So in my case, I'm still in the process and in the middle of getting my license. I paused so I can get my van finished. But it would be cool to have something to practice, and I can still document hours that I go up. But I can't log them the same way as going up with an instructor. But I mean, like after I get my license, I can still log the ultralight hours and build my hours up. I think it's 250 to get my CPL. So the long run is to have the option to maybe find a job in aviation if there is one in the future, which there's plenty of cool jobs out there you could travel and do that. But you have to build your hours up, and you can rent planes, but it costs a lot of money to do that all the time to get your hours, or you just buy a cheap ultralight, and it's cheaper to put gas in that thing than your vehicle, like a car. You just take that up. But I think it would be kind of cool to fly over places that I'm staying at, primarily like in mountain areas, over lakes. And you can pretty much just take off from like a field if you can find an open field or a farm field or something. Yeah, you could go pretty far in those things too. But some of them get up to about 118 miles per hour is like the top speed on the one that I'm looking at, which you can finance. But I would also have to get a trailer, which they're not cheap. Honestly, the trailer would end up costing me more to get than the ultralight. But that's what I was saying. Like, I can get the ultralight and just hanger it until I get a trailer. I'm staying around New York anyways. I wouldn't want to have to tow that around everywhere in upstate New York while I'm here. So I'd probably just hanger it. Or I can park it at a friend's house. But I would probably hanger it because I wouldn't want to leave it outside. Aviation geek, hell yeah. Will you be quitting your well yeah, like I have plans. I have to head out west by October, so the plan is to keep working for a few months or 3 or 4 months. Probably well, because now my schedule's pushed back a little bit more, so now I'd say about a few months until I can work another job out west. But yeah, I plan on saving up kind of like a security blanket of money once I move into the van and I'm able to save on gas. And not the only time I'd really be spending money in gas is 2 days on the weekends where I'm traveling 3 or 4 hours at a time to go to different places to camp. But other than that, plus I really like my job and I don't want to leave them hanging during busy season. Like if I left, they would have nobody to cover night shifts for like at least the next couple of months because I work all the night shifts pretty much, except for 2 days a week, and they tried bringing on new people a couple of times over the last month. Actually, I had to train one of them, and people just don't work out. Like it's too much work for people. They think that you just run a register and that's it. There's so many things that you have to do and run an entire deli. So nobody wants to work. I made some really good friends there, so like people I would talk to even not working there. I wouldn't leave anybody hanging. Now after busy season, that's a different story. Hours get cut back for everybody, and it's a lot easier for people to cover shifts. But I like it because it's a busy type of job to where you're busy all the time. So like the 8 or 9 hour shifts like go by pretty quick, opposed to like a boring job where you're just sitting around all day and like the whole day just feels drawn out. So that's why I'm gonna stick it through for a little while. Also, I can camp out at my job if I need to, which is another perk and plus. I can plug in at my job. I can, if I don't feel like going anywhere that night, or my batteries are like, say it rained all day and my solar didn't charge my batteries, I could just stay the night at my job and plug in there and have power all night. Not many jobs out there that would allow you to do that. I thought I had. Oh well. I forgot my vape. Is that stain color gun stock? Well, the stain color is a mixture of gun stock and walnut. Special walnut, I think it's called. I don't even remember what it's called, man. So yes, it's that and walnut. I fucked up and splattered it with gun stock, and this was the piece that I had to just. I was like, well, now it has these spots on it, and gun stock is a lot thicker or darker looking than the walnut, so I just covered it in that. And I actually like how it's coming out, though. It really looks like, at first, before I put this stuff on tonight, I didn't really like it. I felt like it was too orange looking, at least to me. But now that this is on it, it's got kind of like a honeycomb color to it. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's got like a honeycomb kind of golden thing going on here, and the wood grains are popping a little bit more. I think that was the biggest thing, was like I want to see the patterns in the wood. So at first that gun stock was like, I mean you could still see them, but it just looked like orange, giant orange thing. I still think it looked better with just the walnut. I wish that it was still just walnut, but can't. In life, you can't always have what you want. Thank you. No, I'll show you. I'm just standing here still because I'm watching it dry little by little, but as you can see on that side, it's starting to dry. And then the edges here. I really like how I messed up the edges. The jagged edges here. And then they're kind of filled in now. Like, you would not have known that this was just a flat piece of wood originally. So it's starting to get some shine to it. The biggest thing was sealing it so no water damage, no mold. You got to figure this is going to be right next to the door, and sometimes that door might be open and it could start raining before I'm able to shut the door, and this could get wet. Or I set something wet on it, like a wet cup, because I'm sitting at it, playing or gaming or working, whatever I'm doing at the desk at the time. I'd be setting drinks, maybe eating off of it, probably eating off of it. I'll have like a lagoon table I could eat off of too, but this will be easier not to assemble anything. Honestly, I wish I had more money for Prime Week because there were so many more things that I wish I could have got this week on Prime. I'm sure most of you know Prime has its week. I found a really awesome white and black gaming chair that is usually $149. Right now it's $83, and I wasn't able to get it because I had to get other things. And unfortunately, this was my bill week. I had to pay my car insurance this week, my phone bill, my rent, part of my rent I pay every other week. But basically, I sunk my whole paycheck already this week, and then I ordered some things off of Amazon, like smaller things. And I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for stuff to come in. Also, I got the exhaust, the little exhaust port that's supposed to go on the outside of the van for the air conditioning unit, and it's cheap Chinese plastic. And I think I'm gonna try and send it back. I thought it was gonna be metal. That's what I thought. Well, based off of the description, you would presume it was aluminum, but they had different kinds, and the only one I guess that they had that was 5 inches in diameter, which is what I need, is plastic. Go figure, the bigger one is plastic. The 4-inch one or whatever was metal, and then they had white or black color. So I got to send that back because that thing would completely crack the second I try and screw it into the van. It had like 4 very tiny little screw holes, and I don't know if that was more of a cover on something else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know if like that was the main piece or if there was something else that goes on that screws into. But I found something on Lowe's today. It's an exhaust. It's like an exhaust chimney type thing where it's meant for a roof. It pops up, but then it faces down, and it's meant for like a bathroom exhaust. But I gotta bring in like the hose for my AC unit to Lowe's and measure it up to it and see if it fits because it looks slightly smaller. But they might have like a fitting or something that you can buy or whatever. So we'll see. I got one of those coming in the mail, a heavy duty rubber exhaust hose. And I'll take that to Lowe's with me, see if it fits, because I might just put the chimney on my roof and say screw putting it out the side of the van. Just put it out the roof. We'll go straight up with it. Can't really put it out the side of the van like that because that thing sticks out too far. It would look like my van had like an arm sticking out. So yeah, I'm not putting any cheap plastic. Like, I'm not drilling a hole in my wall, especially a 5-inch diameter hole, and then covering it with just plastic, cheap, thin plastic. Sounds like a nightmare. How much will the AG cost? What's AG? Sorry, I'm stupid. What's AG? Anyways, I wish I could have gotten that chair this week while it's on sale, but I did hear though, sometimes certain items, not all of them, after Prime Week, they'll still keep the same prices for like another week, or they'll extend it. It's not like officially still Prime Week, but sometimes they'll keep like the same prices for like the whole month, basically. So I basically just saved everything to my wish list, and next week I'll come back to it. If it's there, then I'll buy it. But it was like the ultimate gaming chair. It looked comfortable as hell. It had the thing that pops up that you could prop your legs on. It looked like it could go pretty low and can also get pretty high. And most importantly, the legs of it looked like they weren't like any more spread apart than the one I currently have. Some of those gaming chairs have like a very wide base to it. Oh, the AC unit? Oh, I'm sorry. I see AG. I thought you meant AG. The AC unit, I already have that. Um, I only paid $225 for the AC unit, and I got it off the TikTok store. It goes down to about 61 degrees. It's a portable unit, so it sits on the floor. And then it's got like the exhaust that, you put it out the window. But I've been running it every single night in the RV because the reason I got it now is I was like, I need AC in the RV. I'm dying in there. Because if I were to run like the big air conditioning in the RV like I did last summer, it eats up $80 a week in propane. And that's running it all 7 nights a week. Because it's like 78 degrees in there. There's not really a good airflow. And anyways, it was cheaper to just buy the AC unit that I was going to need anyways for the van and use it. And that thing has been amazing. Like, it can't really cool down the entire RV. So what I do is I shut my bedroom door, but it gets that room so cold that I have to turn it off about 20 minutes before I get up in the morning because it's too cold. But it also has a dehumidifier in it. You can also run it as a fan, which is cool. And it's 10,000 BTU. So I don't know if that answers your question. It's about 10,000 BTU. So the battery that I got, which can go up to 2,500 watts, the AC runs about, I think they said it's about 1,200 watts to start the compressor, but it runs around 700 to 800 watts. So I got a battery that's going to be able to handle that plus other things. As long as you don't exceed 2,500 watts, you're good. But the more wattage that you use, obviously, the less AC power that you're going to have or DC power. That's the other thing, too. I need to work on like the lights, the refrigerators, DC power. I need to try and get as much stuff in the van that needs power on DC as possible. So like today when I was at Lowe's, they had a lot of AC type style lighting. I don't want to get those because the battery that I got, the Bluetti system, the AC has a much less time of battery life in watt hours than the DC side does in the battery. So when you're running DC on it, you get way more lifetime on that battery. So the air conditioning, unfortunately, that's AC power. So it's going to end up, draining my battery pretty quick. But my plan is basically this, because I'm up north. There's really only one more month of summertime, the month of August. Once you get through August, September, it drastically cools down. Like even nights up here are still in the 60s a lot of times. But I just basically need to be able to run the AC unit maybe 40 minutes at a time. And just enough to cool down the van. Van's going to be well insulated, so keep the cold. And then when it starts getting up to a certain temperature, then turn on the AC unit, cool it back down again. If it is absolutely hot outside and I'm not like at work or somewhere at a campsite, all I have to do at that point is just turn my van on and let the van idle, and then I can run my AC unit unlimited as long as the van's running. And that's if it's like a really hot day or something. I need it. But remember, I have the exhaust fan as well that will drop the temperature in the van up to about 10 degrees. It's just sucking the hot air out of there. There's like a lot of good, or there's like a lot of different ways that you can cool things down. But the number one most important thing is to make sure everything's insulated. So my plan is this: when I get done building everything in there, finish the bed, build this desk this weekend, get that all done. Um, the barn door hinges should be in as well for the cabinet doors, so I can finish that up. I should be in, I think, by Sunday. They said it should be arriving by, so we'll see if it comes in Saturday. Once I get all of that done, before I do the rest of the wall paneling and the ceiling panels, I'm going to insulate every possible place that I can insulate in that van. The floors, I did a really good job. Like, I sprayed spray foam in places I couldn't put foam board, and every other place on that floor has got foam board in it. Same thing I'm going to do for the walls. I'm going to put foam as that cotton candy foam that I got with insulation. I got some foam board. I'm going to really hit it hard with all that. And then all of the weird places, I'm going to do spray foam again. Same thing with the ceiling. All the holes are going to get spray foamed. And then I'm going to order on Amazon. They have insulated window covers. It's like $163, but they're meant for vans like mine. They're already like custom fit. It's got reflective on one side of it, and it's blackout on the other, and it just because the door frames are all metal, so it just like magnetic sticks to each window basically. That will keep any hot air or cold air from escaping, any hot air coming in. And then there's a cover for the exhaust fan. So if you're not running that, you can cover that as well. So, and then the front, I already have a reflective window cover for the front window, but I got to do this 2 front windows. Actually, I think that's part of the $163 you get window covers for those 2. But I'm also doing a very thick blackout curtain divider that will shut off my front cab from the back of the van. So it's going to be very heavily insulated to the point where I think not during the summertime, but during the winter time when I have the diesel heater pumping in there, I think it's going to get to the point where it's going to get way too stuffy and hot in there. And, it's going to be like 20 degrees out, and I'm going to be opening my window just to get some cool air in there. But, I guess that's good. I guess that's a good thing. But summertime, it's going to really help out, I think. And I didn't just think about all this overnight. I mean, I watched so many different people build vans out, and van lifers that have been living in their vans for years now talk about, like, the number one thing you need to do is insulate everything. Because if you don't, it's going to be no different than if you tried to go sleep in your current vehicle during the day and it's hot out. You can't do that. I mean, you can, but you may not live to tell people how you slept. But then the solar panels won't charge. Hey, later, cardio. Oh, no, the solar panels will charge the battery. So I have 200 watts of solar panels. And how that works is if I have my solar panels like plugged into the battery while I'm using the battery, as long as what I'm doing at that point in time doesn't exceed the 200 watts, it will charge the battery more than I drain the battery. For things like if I'm just watching TV or using my computer, charging the phone, maybe I turn the lights on or something, which I don't really need to do during the day. But no, I got the best solar panels. Well, I don't want to say the best because there's a lot of really good brands out there, but I got the most efficient solar panels on Amazon right now that you can buy, like the highest rated There's a lot of people that buy the same solar panels that I got for their Blue Eddy systems, for their Renogy battery systems. Reason being is my solar panels are really good at pulling, I guess, through cloud coverage. Like if it's very cloudy out, they can still pull roughly 50% still power. So there's a lot of solar panels out there that just won't do shit for you if it's cloudy. So that's a good thing, but they also are very efficient and have a very long life to them. So I'm pretty lucky with the solar panels I got. I also have a really awesome 3000 watt power inverter. Now, I will say this. I do plan on running the AC unit over in the future off of the 3000 watt power inverter because it can definitely handle it better. But it's going to take me a couple months to accumulate all of the batteries that I need to in order to power it. That's why I went with the Blue Eddy system for initially, because it will be able to do over 1,000 watt hours just right off the bat, where I'm going to have to order 4 Renogy batteries, and each battery is only capable of 254 watt hours. So you get 4 of them, now you're up to 1,000 watt hours, and then you're going DC power into the power inverter, and then that's 3,000 up to 3,000 watts pushing out AC power. So my plan is to run like the AC unit and the refrigerator. I'm sorry, not the refrigerator, because that's DC. That would be off the Blue Eddy system. But anything AC powered will end up going to the Renogy battery system that I will have. So I'm going to have 2 power systems in that van after I move into the van. So about 2 months it's going to take me to get all that. But once I'm at that point I'm going to be traveling out west, and I'm not going to have the luxury of being able to park at my job overnight or plug in whenever I need to. I'm going to be on the road. So at that point, when I start traveling, it'll be nice to have both battery systems, especially if one goes down or something happens, I have the other. And I'm also going to add another Blue Eddy battery as well in the future. So they have a new battery coming out. It's the A2 version of the AC 180, which is the one I'm getting. The A2 doesn't come out till July 30th, and it's actually on sale right now on Amazon, but I didn't order it because they said the delivery on it would not have even gotten to me till August 22nd. And I'm going to be living in my van before that. So anyways, my plan is to get that battery, which it can do, I think, up to 3,000 watts. It is basically the AC 180, which is what I have, but can do more watt hours. It's more efficient. It's actually smaller in size and lighter. So I'm going to have 2. So when I use the power up in one, the other one, I take that, plug it into the solar, let it charge up while it's not being used at all, and then plug in the charged one. And then I'll have 2 batteries I can rotate. So that's my plan with that, because you can never have enough power, especially mostly during summertime, because it takes a little bit more to keep your fridge cool and AC unit keeping it cool enough in there. But the good news is, while I work, I have unlimited power. So Valentina's living in there. I'll be able to have the van plugged in shore power, so I'll have unlimited air conditioning while I'm at work. So she'll be in there ice cold for however long that I'm at work for the day. But on the road, that's going to be the tough thing. But once I start traveling full time, I think what I'm going to do is spend most of my summers up north, or try and stay in northern states where it's cooler. And then during the winter, head south a little bit, unless I'm doing harsh winter camping on purpose, and I would just stay up north for that. But, during the winter times, I'd like to head down south. Someone told me to really try and go to Yellowstone during the winter time. Like, most people go during the summer. It's very pretty during the summertime, but somebody said the winters in Yellowstone National Park are just crazy. Um, like it looks insane during the winter. So that's kind of my goal for not this year. I'll be doing that thing over this winter, but maybe the next year that would be something to put to the list. I am going to be passing Yosemite National Park though on my way out west in October. Um, like I don't have to be to my destination until the end of October, so I'll have like three and a half, maybe 4 weeks if I leave at the end of August, or I'm sorry, the end of September. Um, yeah, so like I'm thinking I'll be passing Yosemite National Park during the fall time. Well, the beginning of fall, anyways. But I guess if I make it there during October, then it would be technically fall. Wait, when does fall start officially? Isn't it like the last week of September? Oh, you mean if I park in the shade? Um, it depends. Like I said, if I'm parked under a shade where it's just like a couple of trees covering, but it's still very bright out, the solar panels are still good enough to where it can pull like half energy still. Um, but yeah, I probably won't be parking under a bunch of trees as long as I'm in the van because I'm gonna have Starlink as well, so I'm gonna need internet, and Starlink won't work well under trees. But if I'm purposely trying to charge my batteries, I just won't park in shaded areas if I can help it. There's some situations where you can't help it. You're going to a campsite and it's got a lot of tree coverage. You're kind of at the mercy of what you got charged up at that point in time. But like I said, all I got to do is turn my van on and let the alternator charge my batteries. There's it's like $238 on Amazon. There's a Blue Eddy alternator charger, and yes, I could plug my Blue Eddy battery into my cigarette lighter, which is 12 volts, but it still will take it 4 hours to charge the battery that way. But if I buy the $238 Blue Eddy alternator charger, run it directly from the alternator, and then that plugs into your Blue Eddy battery system. That will charge your battery at maximum capacity and can do it in less than 2 hours, it says. So it's definitely more useful if you're driving rather than idling, but it's just going to be an automatic thing that whenever I am traveling, it will always charge my batteries if they're low. So automatically, and then the cool thing about the Blue Eddy charger is it knows if the batteries are at 100%, like it can talk to them. It will cut off, trying to put power into it at a certain point. So
It's nuts. It really is nuts. And I see some people. I don't know what's
Jersey, we've already talked about this so many times. I literally have a job. The same thing that I just did when my van was in the shop for 3 weeks. Pay to have it fixed. I worked my ass off and got 3/4 of my bill paid. I worked out a deal with the mechanic, and I would bring my van back to that same mechanic if it broke down. That's another cool thing too. If my van did break down, I have permission from the mechanic to live in the back of my van at his shop until he's able to work on my van, and he's got power outlets outside, so I would have unlimited power while I'm there. Now, when I'm on the road, I'll already have money saved up, so I would get a hotel room for a couple of days while they work on my van, and then I would get my van back. Or in some cases, like this mechanic up here in upstate New York, they might let you just stay in the back of your van if you tell them, like, hey, this is my home. I have a dog. You care if I stay in this until you work on it? but a lot of places can usually get to your vehicle within a couple of days. So oh yeah, 100%, Jay Sully. I already have. There's something on Amazon I'm ordering for that specifically. It will. So basically, it can just go right straight through my Starlink. I'm gonna have Starlink hooked up in there all the time. It doesn't really draw that much power, so I'll have Starlink running for when I'm not in the van. And basically, you connect this device to that, and it will give you an outside temperature reading and inside temperature reading. Um, and then also you have the option of adding security cameras as well, like a nanny cam on the inside. So I'm gonna be doing like a camera on the inside of the van and one camera on the side of the van, like where my doors are that you would enter. Um, but when I'm at work, I obviously can go out and check on her as well, which I plan on doing. See, that's a cool thing. Is right now, obviously, I leave her home by herself for 8 9 hours while I'm at work, like every other working American would have to do. But having her live with me on the road, I'll be able to go out every couple hours and check on her at my job whenever I get some time to, and let her stretch her legs, get out, go to the bathroom. So she'll actually have it a little bit easier than having to sit around and wait for somebody to come home. I will say this though, the first month that I move in the van, she isn't going to be living in the van with me. Because when I move into the van, there's still things that I have to improve in the van to make it more efficient, like power wise. Like I said, with the batteries, I got to add a battery every other week. She's just going to be staying here for the first month while I'm living full time in the van to make sure the van's safe and everything's good in the van. Everything works. The power systems work. The plumbing works. Everything works great. Before I'm living full time in the van with a full size dog, basically. And then once I get all the batteries or whatever and all that set up, then she'll be moving in the van with me full time. Well, I take that back. On the weekends, I'm planning on taking her on the trips with me, but like during the work weeks, she'll be staying here. Because she's comfortable here as well. She's got friends here. She's got cats to play with during the day. She's not by herself. So, and people love her here. So I don't know if I mentioned that before or not, but I'm going to be living in it full time in a few weeks, but she won't be for at least a month until I get everything completely put in there. Because I know I'll be fine, but I want to make sure she's going to be fine. And I'll know that over the course of a month. And things will be a lot more comfortable, I'd say, after the first month in the van, because there's still going to be things I need once I move into it. I might actually decide to, like, if I need to change a couple of things or whatever, it'll be a lot easier to do that as well, not having a dog in there for the first month. Low battery, what the hell? I guess my phone didn't charge when I was at work today. I thought it did. Why is this phone overheating right now, dude? Like, this phone is hot. Just running YouTube? That doesn't even make sense. What the fuck? This is like the worst iPhone I think I've ever owned in my entire life. I take that back. The iPhone XS that I had a couple years ago, that one was even worse. That thing overheated and shut off more than this one did. But for an iPhone 14 or whatever, it really shouldn't be doing this. This is a relatively new phone. I've only had this for like 4 months. I am not happy with this iPhone at all. This is the phone that I try and go live on, doing a drive stream or whatever, and it just dies on me because it overheats all the time. That's why I've mostly been going live on the computer, because at least that doesn't shut off on me. But my computer's at low battery too. Oh no, the computer's telling me my phone's at low battery because I'm on my hotspot right now. Because the Wi-Fi doesn't reach out here. I can't see what you put in Jersey Sting. I don't know if you put like an emoji or something, but it just looks like a dot or something. All right, I'm going to show you guys this one more time, and then I'm just going to end this off. So this is what it's starting to look like. I think the edges on this are my favorite. And at the time I was like not sure if it was going to look good or not, but as you can see, that looks pretty good. I think it looks a lot better than it did before I did this. That's with the light on it. You can really see the shine with the light. Like it didn't do that before. So like if you turn it like this where that light hits it, that looks nice. And it's still wet. I mean, you can clearly see it's still wet, but we'll check on it tomorrow night. I'll take a picture of it, post it. I'm thinking tomorrow night we'll just let it sit for one more night like they told me. Let it sit for 2 days. And then Saturday night when I get off from work, we'll come in here again, we'll flip this over, and then we'll do the other side of it, same thing. But if it looks like it needs another coat, then we'll just do another coat. Because worst case scenario this weekend, I don't have to fasten this to the desk. Like I can build the desk and then wait till this is done and then put this on there. It's not like a mandatory thing that I got to put this thing on top of the desk this week. Like, this is a very easy thing to put in the van. Like incredibly easy. All I have to do is, I'm doing the same thing with this as I did with the kitchen countertop. I just used the marine sealant all the way around on the base points where this tacks into, and I just tacked it to that and put pressure on it, and this won't go nowhere. It literally took me like 10 minutes to put the kitchen countertop in. So if it's not done, I'm not going to rush it. Like if it needs another coat, Saturday night we'll do another coat because it'll be completely dry. And if it's done, if it looks good, then we'll flip it over and add a coat on the other side of it. And we'll put it in there on Monday. When I build that desk is only going to take me probably like an hour to do, if even that. Because I already know I already know how I have the desk designed and how I'm going to build it. Like I know in my brain already. So yeah, I got to put that air conditioning unit in the van. Well, I got to put the AC in it in its spot where it's supposed to stand, and while I do the desk, so I can make sure that I leave enough room for that thing. But I'd say like after this weekend, the kitchen countertop and the front doors are going to be completely done. So I got that track in the mail this weekend. Or Monday. If it doesn't come till Monday, I'll do it on Monday. And the desk will pretty much be done pending this. And then next week we're doing the plumbing, we're doing the sink. That's one of the things that I'm ordering on Amazon next Wednesday. Is I found the sink that I'm getting. It's a farmhouse sink. The faucet that I got for it is just a very small faucet. Like, I mean, like the diameter of it's small, but it's kind of a big faucet. Like, it comes up pretty tall. And then the sink itself, the only holes I got to draw is just the diameter of where the pipes go down, because that literally you just seal it to the top of the counter. So we'll do that in the plumbing, and then I also got to order the water pump. A water pump, believe it or not, is only $43, super cheap. So on Wednesday night, I'm ordering all of that stuff. So then hopefully it comes within, before the weekend. But for plumbing, I figured the only things that I need is to start out with, I literally just need two blue hoses, and a splitter for that, and then the water pump it goes into, because I got to send one hose back to where the shower is going to be at the back of the van, and then I need a cutoff switch, and then I also need the attachments to run it basically through the cabinets. And then the only PVC pipes that I need is going from the sink down into the drain, or into the gray water tank basically. So running the plumbing in there is going to be very easy. I can do it myself. Like, I looked it up already. I was like, oh shit, I was thinking I was going to have to run PVC pipes from the water tank into the water pump, but I'm actually just running hoses. That's it. Like, they're little blue thin hoses that connect into it. Actually, I got to look at that water pump again, because I think one of the water pumps, maybe it was the $58 one, comes with the hoses. It comes with the red hose and the blue hose, hot water or cold water. Maybe it might be worth just spending a little extra on that and then getting the hoses with it. I do intend on doing hot water in the van eventually, a tankless hot water. So they have one on Amazon. It's not too much money. It's like $100 or something. I think it's I know it's like around 100, but I can't remember specifically how much it was. But it's a tankless. You mount it on the wall and run your red line through it, and it's a 12-volt hot water heater. But I don't even know if I'm going to need hot water. I may not need it. So. Oh no, 13%. What the fuck? This one's still hot as shit. All right, guys. Hope you all have a good night. I appreciate people hanging out. Keep you all updated on some things over the next couple of days. And got some things coming in the mail over the next 4 or 5 days. So I'll see you all in the next one. What time is it? 12:29. I'll probably do a game stream before I go to bed. I'll see y'all later.